Hey guys, this is Jared Codling, and I've got the hack of the week for you now. And so this is email deliverability mastery. Hit that inbox like it's hot. And this is a pretty complex one, and it's actually going to take me a lot longer to get through these slides than what I was expecting. But bear with me because this is actually really powerful stuff. And it does get a little bit advanced towards the end, but I do have a lot here that pretty much anyone is going to be able to use of any level of advancement. So what we're going to be covering is the types of deliverability issues, why you don't hit the inbox, factors involved in inboxing, tools I use for testing, tricks I use, types of inboxes and the differences in deliverability, tools I use for sending, advanced tricks, and then like really advanced and only partially tested experimental tricks that I've got going on right now. So we're going to be covering a lot. And, I'll tell you where you can just kind of jump out if you don't want to get too technical. But I will start with the basics and let's get started. So firstly, why does this matter? Email leads are getting fucking expensive. And so it's because Facebook ads are getting expensive, which means it's harder to get a lead. It's getting more competitive. And so you're paying more for a lead. So the more you can get out of that lead, the higher chance you're actually going to make some money and get a return. So if your recipient doesn't see it, it might as well have not been sent. And so this is something most people don't even think about. They get a lead on their list and then they just think, okay, I'll put them on my autoresponder. I'll send them all these emails. They do check their open rate, but that open rate is massively affected by, it declines so quickly. And a huge part of that is your deliverability. So if you double your deliverability, you double your profitability. So, if you get your auto-responding sequence right once, it'll keep working well. So this is an investment. You put the time in up front, you make sure your sequence is going to get maximum deliverability, and then from there, you just make more money. So just a note, this is a bit of an art. It's mixed with some science. I'm very logical about this, but there's just so many factors that you're never going to get 100% deliverability. Nobody does. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the 80-20 of this. I'm going to show you how you can get the maximum result with the minimum amount of effort. So firstly, let's look at the hierarchy of inboxing. So firstly, you've got your main inbox, and that's just your primary inbox, and yay, if you get there, awesome. And a lot of the time, if you've gathered your leads right, you're going to hit there from the start. But then quite often we'll slip into the promotions box, or there's similar things. In Gmail, it's promotions box, and this nasty little thing, it's reasonably new, I guess, in the whole scheme of email. And it's so common to end up there because what you are sending is genuinely promotional because you're trying to sell. So obviously you would end up there. It's just nobody freaking sees it. You don't make any money there. So we want to dodge that best as possible. Next is the spam box. And there's a number of reasons why you can hit this, which I'll go through. But if you hit that, good luck getting seen. Hardly anyone actually goes through their spam box. The fourth is a bounce. And so there's two real kinds of bounce. The first one is you might get a thing back saying, hey, look, we know you're spam, so just we've bounced you. And this is often to people's work email addresses where they've got a spam system or something like that. The second one is a wrong address. And so you can get a bounce there where it's just that person doesn't exist. The fifth one is no response. So you send something and from your server to their server, so from your program, your email program over to their server, and they don't even respond. It doesn't get through, but then it doesn't bounce either. So if you really look really spammy and you're super blacklisted, they won't even honor you with a response. And so if you're at this level, that's pretty bad. The second kind is where it's a wrong address and it just simply nothing happens. So we want to work our way from the bottom to the top. So depending on your list quality, you may be starting really low here with some of your people on your list. But what we really have control over is getting from that spam box to the promotions box to the main inbox and just getting that up as much as possible. So here's the main factors, and some of these are a little bit technical, but I'm going to try to break them down nice and simple for you. So the first factor is your sending server. So this is the IP address and who owns that server. So for example, you could be using Gmail or Yahoo or Microsoft Hotmail, Outlook, something like that. And they'll own a heap of different servers, and so they're reasonably trusted. Then you've got your third party, which is SendGrid and MailChimp. Your autoresponder will use a third party. So if you use Autopilot HQ, they actually use SendGrid. If you use MailChimp, they actually use one called Mandrill. So, there's these third party senders, which are very trusted as well. But if you're Gmail and you receive an email from, say, somebody at SendGrid that's using SendGrid to send their stuff, you're not going to trust it quite as much as if it came from Gmail, because with Gmail, they have way more control. It's like it's already in their house. So what you'll find is deliverability from Gmail to Gmail will generally outperform something that's coming from an external third party and coming to Gmail. Just like quite often Yahoo can be a little bit skeptical of Gmails. So if your list is really filled with Gmail addresses, then you're going to get higher deliverability sending from a Gmail. And just a note on Gmail, if you have Google Apps, you can actually be using your domain. So it could be jared@newhackeveryweek.com, but I'm actually using Gmail still as my mail server. Then you've got shared servers. That's getting a little bit more technical, but some work addresses have shared servers, stuff like that. Then you can have your own server, which that could be your website is actually sending from your website, from your actual server. So it could be WordPress sending, and there's no one else involved. It just sends from WordPress over to their your WordPress server over to their email address. So I know it's a little bit technical, but I just wanted to get your head around it because it will impact a lot of what we're going to go through. And I know that's boring shit, but I'm going to give you the easy stuff that will work. So next is a sending email domain. So where are you sending from? It could be a generic email, like @gmail.com. So generally these do really well. It could be a large non-generic, which means it's like at wordpress.com or at harvard.edu or something like that. So if it's like from a .edu or something like that that's not known for spam, it's going to have really good deliverability because they go, this is really trustworthy. We never see any spam come out of this school address or anything like that. Then you've got like the non-generics. So this is like at johnsmith.com. Now that really depends on you. So if you've got a history of sending a heap of spam from your domain, then anything you send from that domain is going to be blacklisted. It's going to get a really bad time. Now you don't even need to be on a blacklist to be on the shit list, I guess. Sometimes you won't show up on a blacklist, but if you've been sending spam, you just will not get through. So you've got to be really protective of your domain. So don't go and use your main domain to be sending a heap of spammy emails because you'll ruin it forever. The next is just sending email address, and I'll try to speed up a little bit because there's a lot to get through. So are you sending from, so here's a hierarchy of how good they are. So 1, the receiver has whitelisted or emailed before. So if they've sent you an email before, you're automatically going to get through way easier sending them an email back. Secondly, if they're a receiver that's opened your emails before, Gmail and that actually keep track of this. So if you've opened a heap of emails from someone, they're far more likely to end up in your primary inbox again, or at least your promotions. It's very unlikely if you keep opening their emails that they're going to end up in the spam box. The third one is an unknown to the user. So Gmail might have seen you email a heap of people before, but that you've never actually emailed this person. So it increases your chances because Gmail's seen you before. But then we get to the last kind, and you're like an unknown to the email provider. Gmail or whoever it is says, holy shit, we've never actually seen this person before. Let's wait and see what they do. So they might let you get through, but if you go and send 1 million emails straight away to Gmail and they've never seen you before, they're going to go, hold up, something's up here, even if you had a legitimate reason. So here's just a quick whitelisting hack. First hack in this of many. If you can get users to reply to you, they're automatically whitelist in a lot of the email providers, and it's always going to help. So an example of this is in the very first email, let's say they got a lead magnet from you or something like that. You might email and you might put in that email and say, hey, I would love your feedback on this part. Just reply XYZ or something like that. So you're actually getting them to reply to you, and then straight away you're going to have much more deliverability. You can use that as a mechanism to start a sales conversation if you've got a high enough ticket item. But yeah, it's quite often that you'll actually end up on like a proper whitelist, and the rest of your emails are going to get maximum deliverability. So that's just a little trick that I like to use. Next one is a sender hack. So sending from Jared at instead of info at is going to help you bypass the promotions box dramatically. So yeah, info at, support at, all these generic kind of terms, especially like sales at or something like that, it's going to like head to the promotions box because they know that it's not from a real person. It's from like it's from like the organization's most likely a promotions. So they also give you like black marks against emails if you're doing a shitty job. So like if you have a shitty old list, you might have 100,000 really shitty emails, send to them from one email. But then if you get like a fresh list of all these really good new leads that you haven't burnt out, haven't been on your email list forever, send from a new one. send from a new email address. Because what will happen is, like, let's say you send from Jeremy at for your shitty list and then some Jared at your good list, you're actually protecting that. And so from the start, you're going to get better deliverability. So what happens over time, if you're using an autoresponder sequence, if it's really long, let's say you've got like a 20 email autoresponder sequence, what might happen is just naturally people become uninterested in what you do. So the open rate declines over time. Let's say you get down below, like you're like 5% open rate because you've like just hit these people so hard. It starts to look really bad to the email providers. So anyone new that comes into that sequence, they're going to have a lower chance of deliverability. So what you can do is, over time, every now and then, you just kind of rotate to a new email address that anyone new coming into your list will get. And so this is something that we do when we're managing large lists, and we use different email addresses and that kind of stuff, and that works a treat. So that's just another little hack, and it's very easy to implement. Content is a huge factor. And so it's all about machine learning. So I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of machine learning, but it's basically the same as if a human was reading it. And they're going to read every email and they're going to go, does this look like all the other spam that we've caught? And so they've got like a registry of all this spam that they've caught, and they're just comparing against it. So you want to make sure that your content looks very different than all the spam they've caught. And not only that, all the promotions that they've seen before. So there's a few ways that we do that. The first one is using natural language. So story-based emails, colloquial, slang language that you wouldn't normally see in a formal email or what everybody else is spamming with. That's going to increase your deliverability, especially past the promotions box. So making it seem like it's a normal person emailing another normal person, and it's an actual person emailing, and just using that natural language and having a conversation, it's going to get you through. And I know that's really, this is where the art comes into it, but I'm going to show you how you can actually test this before you send. The second one, don't follow traditional format of saying like, hey, first name in the first line. That's what every autoresponder does, every promotions email, everything like that. Instead, put it in the second paragraph somewhere. So this is for two reasons. Firstly, it's going to help with deliverability. So it's not something that they've seen that everybody else is doing. They're not going to categorize it and go, hey, that looks like every other autoresponder sequence. It's probably a promotion. So you're going to do better on that front. Secondly, just from like a email copy standpoint, people naturally look at their name. So by putting it in the second paragraph, they're more likely to actually read the email because it doesn't look traditional, and they're going to go, hold on, what's going on here? So like, here's an example. They go, here's an example email that you might send. Oh man, I got something to share with you. So I was going over my notes and I thought, hey, first name, might be interested in this. So I thought I'd email you. So straight away, they're going to go, holy shit, that's my name, second line. What's this? And they'll have like a second guess, because you've got to remember, like, we're speed reading for our emails because we really want to cut down on that clutter and just kind of get rid of them all. So as soon as yours stands out by being a little bit different, they see their name, they jump to that, they go, oh shit, this person knows me. Even if they already looked at the sender, they know it's an autoresponder. Seriously, this works so well, and we get so much more engagement in emails where we use this tactic. So other content factors, these are just other ones that you should just keep in mind. Watch out for using spammy keywords like free, win, make money, or Bank of Nigeria, or Prince of Nigeria as well. It's probably not going to do too well. So they're always looking for those keywords, especially in the subject line. Don't put too many links. Just put one if possible. Never put more than 3. They penalize you so hard. Don't put too many images. Like, I reckon 2 max. So if you've got a heading and an email signature one, like that would be it. Try to limit it. Like, they just penalize you. They literally just see it as more spammy. And you've got to put like unsubscribe stuff, like be compliant down the bottom as well. There's technical factors you need to look at. Now, Google this because it's going to depend on who you're using to send your emails. Your autoresponder may have done this during your setup process, but it's called a DKIM and an SPF record. And so what this is, it sounds really intimidating, but basically what this does is it's showing that the recipient server, like Gmail or whoever's receiving, whichever server's receiving it, that you actually own the domain you're sending from, and you're not sending from a fake address. And so this is just a technical factor that you put in your DNS records, in your MX records, and there's lots of Google tutorials, and it's going to depend how you've got it all set up and how you do this. Yeah, it's just really important that you do these. These are a huge factor in deliverability when you're sending from your own domain via another provider. Okay, now here's a concept called warming up. So if you send 1 million emails day one, something's up. Like, it's just like, they're like, who the hell is this guy? Where'd he come from? Why is he sending 1 million emails? And if you send 1 million emails, there's going to be a hell of a lot from each server on there. So you're going to hit all kinds of blacklists. So instead, you start slow, you show credibility, and you gradually scale. So you're basically just building trust. So they're going, okay, well, this guy's gradually sending more and more. We're not getting too many complaints. We're not getting, too many bounces. He's not just trying to email all these old lists. He looks trustworthy. Let him send a little bit more. Let him get away with a bit more. And it's just this gradual process. Now I'm going to show you how spammers abuse this warming up a little bit later in the advanced tactics. But I'm going to teach you how the pro spammers do it later. But the main thing is, I would just say, especially if you're doing cold email, warm it up. If you're taking a list that you've already got and you're sending from a new domain, warm it up. Don't just drop all 20,000 subscribers in and email them from day one. Don't do it. It's going to get a really bad result. Your deliverability is going to suck. Instead, maybe put 1,000 in the first day and then another 1,000 the next day and so forth. And I'm actually going to show you a little bit later the exact formula that you can use that's been time tested by spammers to warm up and get you sending deliverably. Next, tools I use. So this is an awesome tool. If you go to litmus.com/gmail-tabs, this checks the Gmail box that it's going to end up in. So as I mentioned before, you do get kind of whitelisted by senders. So this is going to treat it as if you've never actually emailed this person before. But what they do is they give you this email test address, and you basically just chuck that in, and you send your email to that address, and then you go, I sent it, and then it's going to tell you where you end up. Now, you're going to be surprised because you're going to end up in like promotions and social and stuff way more than you actually thought that you were going to. You want to end up in the primary. So if I'm going to add something to my autoresponder sequence, I'm going to test it on Litmus, and I'm going to make sure that it's going to end up in the primary inbox before I'm going to add it to my sequence. It's just that simple. Take the guesswork out of it and use this tool. Next, I use mail-tester.com, mail-tester.com. So this actually tests the spam score. So they do stop you from, I think they only let you test 5 emails a day or something. So use incognito mode and a VPN to not pay for sending lots of this. I use Hox VPN. It's like a free Chrome extension. But there's lots of ways to do this. But yeah, basically, you're going to be potentially going crazy on this, testing lots of emails, so you will max them out. So make sure you do that so you can keep using it without paying, unless of course you want to pay. And this is what happens. It's much the same. They give you an email address to send to. You send it over, and then they're going to give you a score out of 10. But they're also going to give you this feedback, right? So they'll expand on these. So you can, they're going to give you improvements on your message if you're using spammy language and stuff like that. What spam assessment thinks you can do better. And this is going to actually point out if your DKIMs and your SPFs and stuff are wrong. If you're not real sure, this will actually tell you if they're correct or not with your properly authenticated part. It says I'm on one blacklist. And so interesting fact here, when I clicked this and opened it, it's not because I'm sending from jaredcodling@gmail.com. That's not what triggered it. It's the Gmail servers. Somebody, because they're all shared servers, and you could get sent from any of Gmail's countless servers. And just remember, not everyone is on Gmail. So this was a random blacklist, and somebody else had been really abusing the Gmail server and ended up on a blacklist. I can't change this. It's something you can't really control, but an 8.5 out of 10 is going to get great deliverability anyway. So you more want to check that you're not on blacklist for your domain or your actual email address, because that's when you've got problems and you need to rotate and change what you're doing. Some common mistakes. So link tracking. So link tracking is when you're using your provider, and let's say you're using MailChimp or something like that. You put on link tracking because you want to see how many people click on the links and who clicks on the links and all that kind of stuff. Now look, that's super useful. But if you don't actually have a use for it, turn it off. If you're changing your customer journeys and stuff like that based on what links they click, and you're doing lead scoring and all that, totally makes sense. But the thing with link tracking is, if somebody else has spammed this provider, then you're going to appear to be sending a spammy link. So they all use a link shortening service, and they all have their own one that they're using. So if I'm using ActiveCampaign, they've got their own one. If people have gone and spammed the hell out of this using the ActiveCampaign servers and link service, then you're not going to get delivered, because it looks like you're sending a spammy link. Now, I'm only saying this because this has happened to me. I was testing and testing and testing. I just could not get my email to get delivered, and this was the problem. This is a really common mistake, and if you're having trouble with deliverability, this could be it. Next, having test in the subject. So when you're testing in your email provider, they've got a test service. They put dumb shit in your subject line, and it may give you a false negative. So it may look like a worse result than usual. So if you tried everything else and you just can't get past it with like Mail Tester or something like that, try actually putting it in a sequence and properly sending it so that it doesn't have test in the subject, because that can give you a false negative. Another one is using PHP mail, which sounds really intimidating, but basically what it is, if you're using, say, WordPress or something like that, it's actually going to use your server to send. And this is the worst type of email. So what happens is it basically just sends from your server, which no email provider's ever heard of before. It's probably a shared server. You know, you could be hosted on HostGator. So now you're sending from a shitty HostGator server instead of like Google. So it's like no authority. It's probably been spammed out by everybody. Instead, what you can do is get a plugin, and there's lots of them out there, so that you can use an SMTP. And that just stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. So SMTP. And then you can use something like SendGrid for important emails. So quite often what will happen, even with transactional emails, like you could be using WooCommerce and you're just like, shit, my customers aren't getting their emails. They're not getting the receipts or something like that. This is probably the problem. And so if you're sending a notification to someone after completing a form or something like that, and they're not getting it all the time, this is most likely the problem. So here's what you should do. Go and improve in your autoresponder sequences by testing them using Litmus and Mail Tester, and just improve your content using those factors that I said. You don't need to go too crazy, just make sure they're scoring pretty well. Make sure your DKIM and your SPF and that are right. You're going to find that out via Mail Tester. And just do the best practices. But look, if you want to take this shit to the next level, hang with me. We're already over 20 minutes, so I totally get it. If you just wanted the basics and you want to know, shit, how do I just improve my deliverability? I was having some issues, or I think I could have some improvements. Now you've got it. But what I'm going to get into is some really advanced tactics, what the pro level spammers do, and even some experimental stuff that I've discovered myself that I've been playing with. So let's get advanced. So what I'm going to cover, what mad spammers do, like the total pros, the guys who are making millions at this, how to get better at this, like it's an art after all, how I'd spam a list and how I've done it in the past. I'm not doing it right now, but a few months ago, I did a little bit of spamming. And the latest stuff I'm testing. So I'm still not 100% on this stuff. It's fucking advanced. It's really experimental, but I'm going to share it anyway, because if someone wants to deep dive, it's an amazing starting point, because I've worked some shit out that no one else has. So firstly, warming up. So we touched on this earlier, but this is how black hatters spam. So one of the world's best spammers shared this strategy with me. He sends literally millions of legit, spam. I know I said legit spam, but what I mean is these are spammy as hell. And he sends millions a day, and he gets crazy good deliverability. Now, just a note, if you're going to be sending huge amounts of spam, aim for under 3% hard bounce rate for this to work. So hard bounce means this email address doesn't exist, it's a proper rejection. It's not like their inbox is full, we're going to try again. That's a soft bounce. This is this address doesn't exist. So you're really going to be careful with your list, because you can burn out your server and blacklist your everything really quickly if you've got a shitty list. So here it is. This is the warming up process. So there's an initial phase where you just import and mail to 1,000 people only. And so this could apply even if you're doing legit stuff and you just change domains or something like that. You want to import and only mail to 1,000 people the first day. And then the second day, you just want to mail to the same 1,000 again. No new imports on that. Now the reason for this is we want to, a spammer would just go nuts straight away. But if you want to not look like a spammer, you want to just mail to that same 1,000. So really, to any mail provider, they go, okay, well, he's just mailing to the same guys. This guy, he's probably just got a new autoresponder sequence on a new domain or something like that. He probably owns the list. And so you got to think about it like that, what looks spammy, what doesn't. Day 3, you import another 1,000. So now you've got 2,000 in your list, and you're going to email all 2,000. Then you add some more, email them. So you just keep gradually incrementing and incrementing. Until we get to the point where we hit the final phase, we're 10 days in and we're really warmed up. We've already sent to over 10,000 people, and then you can compoundingly add 20% each day. And so quite quickly, within say a month or so, you're going to be up around you can email 1 million people a day. Now this is how the pros do it. They also do a lot of service stuff, and I'm going to show you where to get more resources on that as well. List management. This is just super critical. In some paid lists, which you'll buy off the internet, blacklists, so all the blacklist providers, they plant traps. So these are email addresses which they plant, and they know that if anybody emails there, just blacklist them, because it's just a trap. So they plant it inside the lists. They somehow get it on there, and then this is a way that a lot of spammers get caught out. And once you've hit a trap, then good luck getting off that blacklist. You're just kind of fucked. So just be really careful where you buy your lists. Use something like neverbounce.com or similar to check your email addresses are real before you send them. So what they'll do, they'll just make sure that it's not going to bounce before you even send it. So it's not going anywhere near your server, your email address, your domain. You're keeping it away before you even check that it's real. And if you're absolutely paranoid, do a test send from a different IP, like different server, different email, and remove all of the bounces. So clean the list before you send it with your main. And you can send them anything, you're just checking for bounces. So that's if you're absolutely paranoid. The affiliate method. So I never spam from a company that I own. I never make it look like it's coming from there. So I make a new domain and like a fake persona. I use some kid I went to school with. I use his name, really common name, so he's not going to get in any trouble. But and I send from them, and I'm acting like an affiliate for my company instead. So if just an example, if I was going to send from New Hack every week, like if I was doing like going to email a heap of people about New Hack every week, I would be sending from a totally different domain, like from internetmarketing.com, and I'd use a different name. So it might be Jeremy at internetmarketingsecrets.com. And so I'd actually put an affiliate link. So I wouldn't actually link straight to newhackeveryweek.com. I would put it so it looks like it's an affiliate link, and it's an affiliate trying to sell my product and get paid for their trouble. So just in case I ever got in trouble, I'd just be like, hey, this was an affiliate. Like, this wasn't me. And if you cover your tracks properly, that's how you do it. Be careful of Canada. So the USA, they've got pretty lax spam laws. You can get away with pretty much anything. Australia's kind of okay. It's a bit of a grey area, to be honest. Canada's a real bitch. You do not spam Canada. Just don't fuck with it. Do your best to not send unsolicited email to anyone there. Remove any Canadian domains, and anybody that you know is in Canada, it is just not worth the trouble. So is your list personal, or is it like business emails, like at certaindomains.com, or is it like a Gmail address? There's two completely different best practices for these. And now it's up to you whether you would split your list, but quite often when you source a list, when you actually get your list, it's made up of a majority of one or the other. So I know some guys who rip Facebook group lists, or like if you're using DuckSoup or something like that, you're going to get personal emails. They're all going to be at Gmail, at Yahoo and stuff like that. Totally different strategy to if you use like hunter.io or something like that to get your list, because you're going to get their business emails. And so deliverability wise, this actually has a huge difference. So with personal email addresses, have you ever noticed that any spammer that gets through to your primary inbox, like on Gmail, is sending from a made up Gmail address? So it'll be like Indian Development Services 123 at gmail.com. That's the shit that gets through. And like success leaves clues. So this is how you get better. When I get spammed, I don't get mad. I like look at, holy shit, how'd they get through? Because I'm trying to learn all the time, right? And this is not just if you're doing black hat shit. I'm looking for opportunities, right, to make my ability better, even if I'm doing legit stuff. So if you're not bulk spamming, and I'm saying like you've got a list of like under 2,000 emails or something like that, it's this simple. Get a Google Apps account, so it's linked to a domain. It'll let you send from a domain of your choice, and then just send with Mailshake. Go to mailshake.com. It's this simple bit of software built for cold outreach, and it uses your Google email account for it. It's really easy to use. It automatically throttles and all that kind of stuff, like so that it's not blasting them all at once. It'll gradually drip them out. And it's got really good reporting. It's just super easy to use. And honestly, if I was just going to send 2,000 emails, I would just use Mailshake. That's what I do. Let's say you're emailing to non-generic domains. So it's not to gmail.com. It's to like, at ibis.com or at, some large business. The easiest way for sending up to like 1,000 and 2,000 emails a day is to just use an autoresponder. Now, MailChimp won't let you import too much off the bat. They're pretty picky on this. They see what you're doing. ActiveCampaign can be okay for this. They're normally okay. HubSpot's freaking awesome for deliverability, and they'll normally just let you get away with a lot. HubSpot can be expensive depending on what plan you get, but if you're just looking to blast a heap of emails and that, they have awesome deliverability, and this is what I've used like commercially at like a enterprise commercial level to get a heap of emails sending out to people who are at their work address. Bulk spamming. So now we're talking about the real black hat shit. And this is as black hat as you get. I'm not doing this stuff right now, but I do know how to do it. And this wouldn't be New Hack every week if I wasn't going to teach you. So firstly, I start with buying high quality PVAs. Now this is phone verified accounts. So what that means is when you sign up with say Gmail or something like that, they ask you, hey, can we just verify your phone number? Want to make sure you're a real person. Immediately from that, you get way more deliverability. They'll let you send way more emails, and they're like, this guy's legit, he's got a real phone number. And so you can expect, depending on the quantity of these you need, you might be like 50 cents to like $3 per email address. But per email address, you can normally send about 150 emails per day. You might need a heap of these if you're doing large amounts, but you run your numbers because this is your ROI, right? Like, deliverability is everything. Just, if you send to 1 million emails and you do it wrong, you're going to deliver to like 1,000. You do it right, you'll get to like 800,000. So it's really up to you. So go to highqualitypvas.com. They're okay. You got to pay in Bitcoin because this is shady shit. But there's other providers of PVAs out there as well. So you got to start with, so what you need all these Gmail accounts to send from, right? Because you're going to max them out. You can only send so much per one. But we do know that, if you're sending from Gmail to Gmail, you're going to get great deliverability. Next thing, I use yet another mail merge. Now, this is something that works with Google Sheets. That's a Google Chrome extension. It is paid, but it's not much. This is what I use. So what happens is you upload your list into Google Sheets, and then it will, from there, it'll basically go through and it'll individually email each person, but it makes it look like it's a real person. Like it actually looks like it's a real person to Gmail. Like they don't realize that it's automated. So it'll also give you some tracking and stuff like that if you want it. Make sure you warm up the email address as I mentioned before. So don't go too hard on it. Now, especially with Gmail, warm it up slowly. I know this is a bit of a manual process. You can get someone from Upwork to do it, but look, I'm talking about like tactics right now. Only do them if it's going to have a huge benefit to your business. Don't just go and do this for the sake of it. But like in some niches, and I'm going to talk about that, this is the only way to smash it right now. Like this is the outside advantage. And so a pro tip is use a VPN as well, because you don't want Google going, hold on, we've got like 20 people signing in from the same IP, sending emails. Like, just don't leave a trace. Step 2 alternative is just use Mailshake. So it's easier, it's faster than yet another mail merge. It'll automatically control the pace of sending and all that stuff. But in my opinion, you have a higher chance of getting flagged as a spammer with, this is written wrong. You've got a higher chance of getting flagged as a spammer with Mailshake than with yet another mail merge. Because Mailshake actually uses a Google API. So to Google, it doesn't really look like it's a real user. It looks like it's a system that's using their servers to send all these emails. So it doesn't look like a normal user. So yeah, you might get away with it. But if my life depended on it, I would be using yet another mail merge, doing it the slower way, and having, controlling it like that to make sure I'm not leaving a footprint so that they can go, oh, hold on, that's the same guy, he's spamming. And this is if I just wanted to maximize my deliverability because I had a list that I paid good money for and I want to make sure they get my freaking email. Just a note, anyone offering like a Fiverr gig on this or anyone using Interspire, it's this piece of email software, they're full of shit. Their deliverability sucks. I've tested so many people on this. None deliver, metaphorically or objectively. It just doesn't work. So don't try to take the easy route. This is tough stuff. I know it's difficult, but if you really want to do this is how you do it. Let's get super advanced. So if you're not very technical, this may be over your head. You can leave now if you want. It's already been half an hour. But look, you don't need to know this, but it's experimental as hell. I find this stuff very interesting, and this is why I worked it out. And it's only going to apply to like 0.1% of growth hackers. But I know there's people in the group who need this right now, so that's why I'm putting it in here. What email always gets delivered? The answer is a receipt. When do you ever see a receipt go to your spam box or promotions? It just doesn't happen. A receipt, they put it straight in your primary. It's so important. So this led me to a theory. What if I just sent an email that was like identical to a receipt, but I changed the content? And it worked. But that sucks. Like people will get confused. If you're just emailing everybody a receipt, and you're changing the content, whatever spin you put on it, it's gonna be a bit dumb. So I dug deeper, and I was like, why does that work? And it's all machine learning. So, what other emails always get delivered? Like, it's just like, and so the best way to check that is what's getting through to my inbox. So I had a look. It's high volume stuff, like notifications from Upwork saying you've got a new bid on your job and stuff like that. And I know this is technical, but what I did, I took the HTML and CSS from an Upwork notification email. So I actually went view source and I literally just grabbed all of the code. And then, so I made it look exactly like an Upwork email. Everything about it was the same. And then I just changed the content and the subject. So if an algorithm was to analyze the code and go, Is this similar to this email? It's 90% similar to this Upwork email. Now that Upwork email, the notification one, it's getting sent like literally millions of times a day, and it's never spam. So you're going, oh, hold on, this one's just like that one, and that's never spam, so this probably isn't spam either. Now, it's machine learning, so it's going to take into account all those other factors, sending domain, subject, and all that, but this worked. This worked. So, I haven't tested it enough because, as I say, I don't need to do this right now. I was testing this for shits and giggles. I just seriously wanted to see if my theory would work, but it got me like 80% deliverability on this spammy list that I got. And I was only getting 40%. I actually split test this, and so it doubled my rate of deliverability on a shitty list. Now, I wouldn't use this for anything you don't really need to use it. And as I say, it's experimental. Test this yourself. But it did work for me. So there's no promises here, but you can see the theory of what I did, and then it did actually work in testing it. So this may be the next era of spamming. I hope there's no Indian spammers in here that are just gonna go and abuse this and ruin all our lives. But look, what's the next step? Look, I don't need to do this. So experiment with this and go as far down the rabbit hole as you want. Check out mailerforum.com. That's where the pros are. And there's a lot more that you can learn if you want to go down the rabbit hole. The holy grail here is getting your own server, warming it up, cleaning your lists perfectly, and sending consistently. This is way too much work for the average person, the average growth hacker, unless it's crucial to your business. So, but if I was doing an ICO, for example, which Facebook just banned ads to cryptocurrency like ICOs, I'd be doing this. So hint, there's 5 people in the group that are involved in ICOs right now that have reached out to me. I would say that I would go deep on this because this is your advantage. Because everyone else can't run Facebook ads. They've got no way to fund their ICO. If you're the only person who's getting through to inboxes and you're hitting mad lists that you've scraped out of Facebook groups for cryptocurrency and stuff like that, then you're going to be the only one who gets their ICO seen. And that's all that really matters in that game. That's all, folks. I know this has been quite advanced and we're almost at 40 minutes, but this one, if all you take away is go make some improvements to your autoresponder sequence, so be it. That is going to get you an awesome improvement. If you just get past some promotions box in some of the ones that we're hitting that, you're going to make more money. It's as simple as that, and it's quite easy to do. It's an investment. If you're completely black hat and you want to go do some crazy ass shit, let me know how you go, because I find this stuff really interesting. I don't have time to work and go deeper on this right now because it's not really directly related to any business that I've got right now, but I found this stuff amazing. So just let me know how you go, because this shit's cool. But that's Jared Codling, New Hack every week, and leave any feedback, comments, or anything like that in the comment section, and let's talk soon.